Good afternoon and welcome to India Today. I'm Anjali Istiwal. We begin this bulletin with big news coming in right now. This is related to a man who murdered his live-in partner. A taxi driver named Bilal beheaded his partner, Umar, because he wanted to marry another woman. These two were in a relationship and it seems that the cops had recovered a severed head of Umar. There was investigation going on and then Bilal has been caught, who is a taxi driver, and the motive seems to be that he wanted to marry another woman. He killed her and then straight away headed for marriage shopping. So it was on 6th of December that Bilal took Umar in his car, and for about 6 hours they were roaming about in the car together. And eventually in Haryana, near Yamunanagar, he went to a national park and that's where he intended to kill his live-in girlfriend. After he killed her by beheading her, he went straight back to UP, to Saharanpur, to his house and got down to shopping for his impending wedding. So this man was in a relationship, Bilal was in a relationship with Uma, but it seemed now she was becoming an impediment for his plans and his future. Joining us live now is India Today's Samarth. Samarth, do tell us more details of this case.
It's a shocking story coming from Saharanpur, Western Uttar Pradesh. A woman's her head was found in one particular place. Thereafter, police investigation began, and then it came to light that Bilal was having an affair with Uma, who was a mother of 13-year-old boy, and he took her in a swift car and roamed her around 6 hours, and then took her to Haryana, where he beheaded Uma. There was dispute between them over some particular thing that is need to be revealed now. Later, that particular Bilal went back to Saharanpur for the shopping of his nikah, because their nikah was planned, and to show that nothing has happened and he has no role whatsoever in whatever crime has happened. But when police started the investigation, it was found that it was Bilal who killed Uma, his girlfriend, and a wife who wanted to marry her as well, but there was some dispute between them. And later we saw in the details given by the police that both went for a 6-hour drive, and what actually happened right over there, or it was planned before, it's the part of the investigation. But here's the shocking details coming from Western Uttar Pradesh, and though the accused has been arrested by the Uttar Pradesh police, but still the weapon by which he, in a way, beheaded that particular woman is still in the hunt, and police is looking for the weapon and will be recovering it very soon. Back to you.
Right, Samarth, it is indeed a shocking crime, and it must have really upset the people over there. What are the locals, how are they reacting to it, and has it caused any kind of controversy, also realizing that there could be a religious angle to it as well?
See, Bilal comes from one particular community, while Uma comes from another particular community, and that's why there is a thing in the village that they are discussing this. But also what villagers they are claiming, the reporter went to the spot and spoke to the villagers who are in the Uma's village. They said that Uma also had a controversial life. Earlier also Uma's wedding was once fixed, but then a day after things went wrong. And if you talk about the current relationship of Uma, she has a 13-year-old son. And what actually happened between then Uma shifted to another home. So she also had a controversial background as per the villagers, what are reporters reporting from Saharanpur. But one thing is very clear, it could be a motive, as we see many love jihad kind of cases happening in Uttar Pradesh. This could be one such, because Bilal might have some other plans, because she could have in a way killed her naturally. There could be some reason the way he killed, that's not justified.
Right.
The way mercilessly beheaded, it's clearly not acceptable.
We will keep an eye on that news. Thank you very much for bringing in all those details. And news coming in from the political circles right now, the new BJP working chief, Nitin Naveen, has reached Delhi. He is set to meet the top leaders today. And Home Minister Amit Shah and JP Nadda are already at the BJP headquarters in Delhi to welcome Nitin Nabin. Remember, Nitin Nabin has been chosen and he is the youngest yet to become the chief or currently the working president of the BJP. BJP, the single largest party, a political party which is a huge, as we all know, huge organization, a mammoth, is being taken over by 45-year-old Nitin Nabin, who's currently a minister with the Bihar government. A 5-time MLA. These are the visuals we are getting for you from the airport when he landed in Delhi. He comes out, steps out, greets the media, bows down with his hands folded in a namaskar position, and then after acknowledging the presence of the media, he turns around and goes back in. He has a long day ahead of him. He will be meeting the top brass of BJP today. Already, joining us right now from India today is Aishwarya Paliwal. Aishwarya, tell us what is the schedule for Nitin Nabin today?
We've already seen how the top leaders from BJP, the CM of the national capital, Rekha Gupta, she's already at the airport, and all of them together are now coming at the BJP headquarters. Now, this is where we will see some of the major things happening. Let me just show you the mood around at the BJP headquarters. What you are seeing are people lined up, all of them all prepared with flower petals in their hands. All of them will be showering petals on the newly appointed working president, Nitin Nabin. There you can see the poster also, and most of the BJP spokesperson, all of them right now present on the spot. JP Nadda and Home Minister Amit Shah, both of them already inside the BJP headquarters. The new posters that you can now see, they have pictures of Nitin Nabin along with JP Nadda and Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the other side. Now, the wait is for that cavalcade to actually just enter. We are standing, this is the corridor from where Nitin Nabin will be coming in and will be coming at the BJP headquarters. And then we will see him speaking with all the Karyakartas, because that is something that he will have to start almost immediately. We have crucial elections coming up in the next year, 2026. We have 5 major elections that will take place, and his work will begin from day one, from the word go. We will see him speaking with the Karyakartas, and then in the next 24 to 48 hours, we are expecting the election schedule to come out, and then in the first week of January is what we are expecting at the moment. We will see the elections taking place.
Absolutely, and intensive schedule awaits the new working president, and we can see the visuals of him landing in Delhi now. We would like to inform our viewers the earlier visuals were from Patna airport, but now what you see on your screens full frame is the moment when the new working president landed in Delhi, and see the way he's mobbed. Aishwarya, it's an instant stardom for him, suddenly the national media, probably some international media as well, everybody knows who Nitin Nabin is. He is a 5-time MLA, there's no doubt about it. He is a minister in the cabinet of Nitish Kumar, but this post now makes him national headlines.
Well, definitely. You know what, before that, let me just tell you the kind of enthusiasm that you are seeing. Bharat Mata Ki Jai, those are the kind of slogans that you are now seeing being taken here. He's someone who understands how elections are fought, and not just fought. He's someone who's been winning them continuously since 2006. That was the first time when he fought the by-elections, and then 2006, later on 2010, then 15, then 2020 and 2025. In fact, his latest elections, he won by a whopping margin of 85,000 votes. So he understands what election engineering is. And you know what's even more crucial is that his father, in fact, was an MLA during the time when it was the RJD that was ruling the state of Bihar. So you understand that he has come from that kind of lineage. He understands what it means to fight elections, and also understands what it takes to keep everyone together, because that is something that the new BJP president will have to very keenly look at. Now, whether his tenure as working will be a long one or a short one, because according to the constitution of the Bharatiya Janata Party, one can be on this post for at least a year till the time elections do not happen. But yes, we will see a new chapter being written in BJP's history.
Right. Thank you, Aishwarya, for bringing in all those details as the new working president lands in Delhi. Now let's go across to Sakshi Batra of Business Today with all the updates of the markets. Sakshi, over to you.
afternoon and welcome to the Market Closing Show. This is our collab show between Business Today and India Today Television. It is 3 p.m. and we are here to get you all the market closing action. But first up, let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and the financial world. India is in the midst of multiple trade negotiations with the United States of America, Canada and European Union. Commerce Secretary Rajesh Agrawal has said November exports have also risen 19% year on year to $38 billion. That's despite the U.S. tariffs led by engineering and electronics, as imports have eased and the trade deficit has narrowed. Markets trade range bound with the Sensex near 85,200 and the Nifty also around 26,000 odd mark as the auto stocks are dragging in trade. The rupee has also hit an all-time low level of 90.77 against the dollar amid sustained foreign outflows while IT stocks recover from the lows. IPO action stays strong with Corona Remedies listing at 1,470 rupees on the NSE, a 38% premium to its issue price, whereas Wakefit has debuted flat at 195 rupees, while ICICI Prudential AMC IPO has seen full subscription on day 2. Flipkart moves a step closer to a domestic IPO after receiving NCLT approval to shift its holding company domicile from Singapore back to India. This is as per reports have suggested. The move also clears a key regulatory hurdle as the Walmart-owned e-commerce major readies for its listing. India's WPI inflation, that's the wholesale inflation of India, has remained negative at a minus 0.32% in November versus a negative 1.21% in October. Falling food prices and energy prices weigh on the index while manufacturing products inflation holds up and core inflation stays unchanged at 1.5%. Let's straight away look at the top breaking news at the top of the show. India exports to the US are up at $1.3 billion year on year. The Trade Secretary has said India-US exports hold despite the tariffs that we have been imposed with. Trade Secretary has also mentioned that there is no timeline yet for the India-US deal, although the final stage is toughest. Trade Secretary has also said that the April to November exports to the US now stand at $59.04 billion. Also, Indian imports from the US have also risen to $35.4 billion. India's November exports to the US have also jumped to $6.9 billion. Also, India's November exports to the US are higher than the October numbers, and India's November exports also to the US have beat a year-ago level as well. Let's straight away look at getting more details on the same from Karishma Sudani, who's been tracking this news for some time now. Hi Karishma, good afternoon to you. Tell me, how are you reading up this trade data? What has the Trade Secretary really pointed out? Well, the one point is good that despite the tariffs, it's not too bad a picture for India right now.
Absolutely, Sakshi. In fact, numbers definitely tell a story of their own. And I was here at Vanijya Bhavan with the Commerce Secretary along the trade briefing, where they had spoken about how the deficit definitely narrowed to a 5-month low. But what's more important is how we've picked up our exports numbers when it comes to the US, because September and mainly October saw a slight slump, but with November seeing good numbers, it speaks high of the fact that Indians are holding their fort, the exporters are holding their fort in supplying to the US markets. Now, important to understand is what happens ahead. We know that Deputy USTR's team had visited India from Washington just last week, and there were deliberations and discussions happening with the officials in New Delhi. How soon can that be converted to a trade deal is a question to ask, because Commerce Ministry, which has been reiterating for a while now that this is not about deadlines, this is not about timelines, this is more about getting a fair and a balanced deal on both the sides. Well, slight hints given on the fact that there may not be further formal negotiations. In fact, they will continue to have these conversations physically and virtually, and they're hoping that at least they'll be able to finalize the first part of the deals.
Absolutely. So that's something that we are going to be closely watching out for also going forward from here. Keep an eye out on the same, Karishma. Let me also now look at how the markets are trading at this point in time. Remember, viewers, it's 26,031 on the Nifty at this point. Despite some indication that we will have recovered quite a bit from the day's lowest point, we are still below the green line at this point in time. You can actually see a flattish trade on the Nifty. We're at the day's high point because we have recovered quite a bit from the day's lowest point, but it's the Nifty Bank that's still holding up into the green, 0.1% higher. That's the one that's really supported the markets from the lower points of the day, but it's the auto space that continues to drag at this point. Let me also look at some of the other sectors that are up and about. You can see IT that's up by 0.3%. The PSU banks have also been holding up strong. Even FMCG and oil and natural gas, these are the kind of stocks and sectors that are actually holding up in trade. Look at the Nifty PSU banks. That's the one that's leading the show from the front as far as the sectors are concerned, about 0.5% higher. The FMCG stocks also up now about 0.7% of the mood that we are seeing as far as the fast-moving consumer goods industry is also concerned. The names are on your screen on the Nifty gainers. You have HUL, Hindustan Unilever, 1.5% higher. Shriram Finance also up by about 1%. Tata Consumer Products, that's another one. From the FMCG list, that's up by 0.7%. From the IT pack, you have HCL Tech, that's up by 0.6%. You have InterGlobe Bank and Trent as the other top gainers in trade right now. But let's quickly go across to Avinash Kodakshakar, market expert, who's going to be helping us understand a fresh view on the markets. Avinash, warm welcome. How are you reading into the markets? We are into the last 15 days of the current calendar year.
No, I think, Sakshi, my sense is markets have recovered very well, from the first half session. And I think a lot of recovery has been aided by the IT sector, as you rightly mentioned. The rupee depreciation is going to benefit these companies. And I think the total scenario for IT companies has changed dramatically. I think in a volatile market, these stocks offer a little bit of more comfort, considering the fact that most of them are sitting on good amount of cash, good amount of orders which need to be executed over the next 12 to 15 months. So I think, companies like HCL Technologies, Infosys, Coforge, these are large companies where I believe the third quarter is also going to be equally strong. And hopefully if the India-US trade deal materializes in December, it is a possibility, but if it materializes even little later, I think you're going to see a lot of US deals in the pipeline getting crystallized into confirmed orders for such kind of companies. So I think IT continues to be a soft spot and a kind of a good opportunity for investors, even at current levels, because I think the real growth story and the growth momentum is expected only post March 26. So I think IT is a bright spot. The remaining sectors, I think people are looking only at stock specific opportunities. Overall, the market is in a sell on rise kind of mode. And with FI selling, primary market supply, increasing day by day, the markets is unlikely to cross, the earlier 52-week high that easily. So you will have to wait and watch, and it's going to be a stock-specific approach rather than an index-based approach now.
Okay, got that. Avinash, could you help us understand any key sectors that you would be betting on big for the new calendar year that begins on the 1st of January? What should be the winning sectors that one should be starting to bet big on for the new year?
No, I think clearly, domestic sectors, like cement, or for that reason, infrastructure, capital goods, auto components, these are sectors which are definitely bound to do well, considering the fact that, these sectors are going to see a lot of GST cut benefits. FMCG could also be one of them. And of course, hotels and hospitality, hospitals, these are also sectors which I think investors should keep a watch. I think as of now, IT also remains a bright spot, but I think the sectors which I mentioned earlier should show at least a 18-20% kind of earning growth, hopefully in the next financial year.
Okay, fantastic. There's also a hope that this new year will turn out to be a better one than the current year. We have actually seen single-digit returns for the Nifty and the Sensex this time, but the pain has largely been felt below the surface for the mid and the small caps, where retail investors have participated greatly. Do you think in the new year we stand to gain much better with the markets come back? Because this time around it's been gold and silver that's outperformed. How are the trends shaping up for the new year?
No, I think clearly equity will remain an attractive asset, considering the fact that, now gold and silver has outperformed, and equity is available at a very reasonable valuation. If you look at the kind of earnings Q2 numbers companies have presented, I'm pretty hopeful that for FY 26-27, you could see earnings growth of at least 15 to 18%. And I think the second half is going to be pretty strong, considering the GST cuts, the interest rate cuts, and obviously the rural demand bouncing back. So I think you need to keep the faith and the conviction, but I think hopefully next year equity should be a better year. And I think, the kind of underperformance we have seen till now can only go significantly if FI is selling stocks. I think FIs have been selling quite heavily. So, that has been a big dampener for the Indian market. So we'll wait and watch. But overall, corporate earnings growth is expected to do significantly better over the next 12 months.
Okay, got that. Let me also get a sense on some of the key stocks from you as to how should one be looking at, or maybe even in the primary market space. Let me first get your view. This year again has been a record year, 2025, in terms of the funds that were raised in IPOs. We've seen huge subscriptions. We've seen some massive IPOs coming up. 10, 15,000 odd crore rupees kind of fundraise from one IPO was seen. Some largest companies like LG, for instance, had come in. So some of the biggest IPOs that we've seen. What is the sense on the IPO market that you have, and what would you suggest investors to do when one plans ahead for the new year? Because we are also getting to hear a lot of new age companies are already lining up in terms of the big IPOs. There could be an NSE or a GEO IPO that could be coming up as well. So how should one be prepared for the new year, and what should be the strategy?
No, I think IPO investing is all about selection the right company, the right business at the right valuation. I think LG Electronics was definitely a good IPO. The investors made a lot of money on listing. Today, I believe there was another pharma company which got listed, Corona
Remedies, yeah.
which also looks to be quite promising, Sakshi, because if you see the financials and if you see the kind of target opportunity, it's a well-managed company. I would believe that, rather than the price, I think you need to see the kind of earnings growth trajectory and the valuation which is being offered to investors. So I think, a lot of new age companies would come in, NSE would also come in, which are definitely promising bets. But I think at what value you need to invest is very critical. And that's why I've been long saying that you have to be very selective. I think there's a huge supply of primary market paper which is coming in year 2026. And I think investors need to be careful, because typically what happens is public issues get subscribed,
Yeah.
but post listing the performance has not been great. So I think, you need to be selective. I would believe that, this is the best strategy to make some money out of IPOs, because getting allotment also is a lucky process.
Okay, let's talk some stocks and take your view on that. Now, after many weeks of, maybe at least 2 weeks of downtrend, we are seeing Indigo come back into the green zone today. It's starting to recover a tad bit. Situation on the ground also improved largely from the initial days of December that we actually saw. Right now, also Indigo shares are up by about 2% with the company also talking positively about stabilizing operations going forward from here completely. What's the sense that you have on Indigo? In the past, it has been a wealth creator of a stock, a monopoly aviation play for the investors at large, the company that has consistently proven to be a profitable one as well. But this big, massive interruption that we actually saw at Indigo has led to a lot of price downtrend for the stock as well. So how would you approach this one now?
No, I think, see, one thing which is very clear is that Indigo continues to be the market leader, enjoys a market share of almost 50%. And despite all the turbulence and the volatility and the challenges which the company is facing, I think there's no doubt about it that in terms of the availability of aircrafts, in number of flights, it continues to be the number one player. See, at least for the next 3 to 6 months, Sakshi, the going is going to be pretty challenging. The company has downgraded its guidance, and I think with the cut down in the winter schedule, the third quarter is also going to be a loss-making quarter. In fact, in the third quarter last year, they made a profit of almost 2,500 crores, which was the best season for them. I believe that, if one were to take the next 12 to 15 months, then I think these negatives would be neutralized. And I think it's a good opportunity to add a market leader in your portfolio when the going is bad. Typically, you get companies at discounted prices, and when the going is good, you obviously have to pay a significant premium. So our sense is that investors who want to add this company at this point of time should take a 12 to 15-month view. Things will get back to normal, but I think in the very near term, you'll have to face the volatility of the quarter 3 and the quarter 4 numbers, which are not going to be great. So till that time, I think the stock is going to remain range bound.
Okay, fair point. Let's look at some of the other key stocks as well. Today, after a long haul, we are also seeing the entertainment or the media stock PVR Inox also jump in trade. It went up by about 7% odd. Of course, bullish reviews of Dhurandhar. All the theaters are full in Delhi NCR. Hard to find tickets at this point in time. That's really lifted the mood for PVR Inox. 1,086 odd levels there. Any suggestion on how should one be approaching PVR Inox? Of course, the stock has been marred by a lot of OTT-related competition. Theaters still competing big with that space. But how are you looking at it?
No, I think typically multiplex companies react positively, as you rightly said, when some blockbuster movie releases and it becomes a super hit. So I think Durandar has been a very critical reason why the stock is up today. In fact, in the morning session, it was up significantly. Thereafter,
Yeah.
it saw a little bit of profit booking. But I think clearly, one would like to see the kind of numbers and the kind of monetization the company makes from this blockbuster in the third quarter. My sense is that a decent amount of revenue would come in from there. But I think the more important question is that how they increase the volume throughput. Like today, India needs a lot of multiplexes and screens in India, and therefore there's a big opportunity to increase their geographical presence in India. So I think net near term triggers are only the Dhurandhar movie. I think later on, once the Q3 numbers come in, one would like to know what's the kind of footprint on the future expansion, because this is basically a more of a volume exercise rather than a value exercise. So I think we continue to remain positive, but once this trigger is over, I think the market should look at the Q3 number expectations. Sir.
Fair point. Okay, let's hold that thought there, Avinash Ji. I'll come back to you with some viewers' questions as well. But meanwhile, let's look at what Union Minister Piyush Goyal has pitched for a major push to nuclear energy in India. He has said that it is critical for a 24/7 clean and reliable power, especially as solar and wind alone cannot meet peak electricity demand. He's also said that Shanti builds sustainable harnessing of advancement of nuclear energy for transforming India will be introduced in the parliament to encourage public-private partnerships, small modular reactors and nuclear power to support India's renewable energy goals and data center expansion. So let's listen into what Mr. Piyush Goyal had to say.
पार्लियामेंट के समक्ष शांति बिल लाया गया है जो न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी में भारत को नई ऊंचाइयों पे लेके जाएगा, प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स को भी एनकरेज करेगा, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप भी एनकरेज करेगा और साथ ही साथ आगे चल के स्मॉल मॉड्यूलर रिएक्टर्स एसएमआरस देश में बड़े पैमाने पे लग सके, जिससे एक तो कभी पावर कट की समस्या ना हो, दूसरा रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी को और बल मिले कि सोलर एंड विंड अकेले 24 घंटे बिजली नहीं दे सकती है। न्यूक्लियर एक ऐसा है जो पीक आवर्स में भी आपको पर्याप्त बिजली दे सकता है। तो सोलर विंड न्यूक्लियर कॉम्बिनेशन हो जाए तो 24 घंटे आपको नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा, साफ ऊर्जा मिल सकती है। और साथ ही साथ डेटा सेंटर्स जिसको हम बड़े पैमाने पे प्रमोट करना चाह रहे हैं और जो रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी भी चाहते हैं, रिलायबल पावर भी चाहते हैं, उसमें भी न्यूक्लियर पावर का बहुत बड़ा रोल रहेगा।
All right, let me go back to Avinashi. Avinashi, help us understand when it comes to the entire energy basket at this point in time, all these reforms that are underway, how are they likely to present any opportunities to investors at large? What are you looking at in the renewable energy and the power space at this point? Where are you looking for interesting opportunities?
No, I think clearly, within the power space, we continue to like power generators like Adani Power, Tata Power, and of course, with the nuclear policy expected to be announced, the Shanti Bill, I think you're going to see a lot of action in ancillary companies, companies like Walchan Nagar or large players like BHEL, which have the competency to participate in nuclear kind of, power orders and make the kind of components are definitely going to benefit. Of course, what kind of investment comes from the private sector, either via a joint venture or on their own, remains to be seen. But this is a big opportunity. You could see a lot of large business groups getting into this. And once this happens, you're going to see an ancillary effect on the ancillary supplying component supplying companies. So I think we'll have to wait and watch, Sakshi. But I think typically this definitely is going to put a very big opportunity for the component supplies, because as per the policy, I believe India will like to have most of the components for these nuclear power plants supported by Indian vendors itself.
Okay, got that. Avinash ji, we have a question from one of our viewers, Swati from Jalandhar, who asks you that silver prices have crossed 2 lakh rupees on the MCX. So what's next after the record price? What exactly should I be doing?
So I think, silver prices have gone up, but you must also remember that it's going to be a volatile trade. I was reading somewhere that silver prices have corrected now. There has been some correction. So it's not going to be a one-way ride. But yes, if you want to be a trader, then I think you need to keep your stop losses intact. But if you're an investor, then I think you should hold on. This volatility will continue for some time. And I think, we have been more positive on companies which manufacture silver, something like a Hindustan Zinc, rather than we don't comment on commodity trades.
Yeah.
But say Hindustan Zinc is a much more defensive and a much more structurally strong bet. to bet on silver, because as silver grows, almost 25% of their EBITDA comes from silver. So obviously, every increase in the silver price adds a kind of significant contribution to the company's EBITDA. So I think, a stock specific approach would be better, but I think if the investor wants to invest in silver directly, he needs to take care of his stop losses accordingly.
Okay. Last question for you, Avinashji. This is from Amitesh from Katak. He says, sir, is ICICI Prudential AMC IPO worth subscribing for listing gains?
No, I think, as I mentioned to you, that it's better that he waits for some time. It's not going to be a runaway stock. It's going to be a gradual, steady compounder. So I think, you'll get a decent chance to buy the stock once it gets listed. See, in most of the IPOs, the larger IPOs, you need to understand that it's always good for the company, and the merchant bankers prices it according to what the company wants. But as a retail investor, I think there's no need to hurry. I think you can get this share at a reasonable valuation, maybe post-listing after some time. And that time, I think the risk reward will be in your favor.
Okay, thank you so much, Avinashi, for being with us on the program and helping us with all your views on the markets, truly helping all our viewers out in getting a clear understanding there. The markets have shut shop, viewers, although we have seen a weak close, 26,014, just about a mild 1/10% of a loss on the Nifty. We were at the day's high point, but we failed to climb above the flat line. Let's look at the markets in terms of the gainers. Sectorally, you had media stocks, you had FMCG, PSU banks, IT, oil and gas stocks, all of them hovering up and about. Small cap stocks also up, but on the weakening side, you had auto, pharma, financial services, mid-cap 100 stocks, all of them, these sectors that in fact declined in trade. Let me look at the top gainers as far as the Nifty is concerned. So like we pointed out, Indigo tops the charts today, 2% higher. Hindustan Unilever, Trent and HCL Tech follow with about 0.5% to 1.5% gains. You also had Wipro and Infosys, TCS from the IT pack continuing to support the momentum. On the downside, however, we had on the Nifty names like M&M, Eicher Motors from the auto space that were down and out. You could see Bajaj Auto, oil and natural gas, you had JSW Steel, all of them declining just about 1 to 1.5% down in trade. Let's actually now shift focus to the auto space at large. And for all those auto enthusiasts who've been looking at newer launches, it is Maruti Suzuki's debut in the EV segment with the e-Vitara with a battery as a service offering. And speaking to Business Today's Chetan Bhutani, Partho Banerjee, the Senior Executive Officer for Sales and Marketing at Maruti Suzuki, said that the company is expecting the industry to grow at 5 to 6% in the calendar year 2025. He also spoke about the waiting period for small cars following the GST cuts. Let's listen into what he had to say.
Electric vehicle coming in over and ICE vehicles moving apart, do you see that small car segment, because now you just mentioned about espresso and Alto having a wait time also, so do you think finally, as the chairman sir pointed out, that small car period would grow at double percentage growth, or do you think that yes, the time for small cars has arrived now?
I would again say that we need to wait for the next financial year because there was a pent-up demand in this quarter. But nevertheless, I think the fundamental problem with the small car was the affordability. With the GST 2.0, I think this issue has been addressed pretty well. And on the top of it, we feel that if the car penetration has to go up, we need to find ways by which we are able to increase the motorization by upgrading the two-wheelers to four-wheelers. So this is one of the logical steps. So right now what the growth is there, we need to furthermore see, wait and watch. But my take is this, the earlier problem which was there, it has been addressed to a certain extent and we should see a growth in the small car also.
And do we expect the calendar year to be closing in double digit or higher single digit? What's your anticipation, sir?
You're talking about 2025?
Yes, 2025, yes.
Well, let's wait for another 2 weeks. Then I'll surely will have a talk with you.
Outlook, sir?
It won't be in 2 digits.
Higher single digits is okay, sir?
Around 5-6%. That was what we feel as a Maruti, that industry should be around 5-6%.
And with that, we're going to be wrapping up the Business Today show today. In case you have any questions about your investments and your stocks related or mutual fund related queries, you can send them on the number flashing on your screens. But before we let you go, don't forget that your favorite channel, Business Today Television, has won big at the ENBA Awards that took place over the weekend in New Delhi. And you saw Business Today Television winning big for their shows and programs of Easynomics, Market Masters, Market Guru, the Opening Bell Show, as well as a lot of individual awards that Siddharth Zarabi, the group editor of Business Today, Shail Bhatnagar, and me, Sakshi Batra, have won in the ENB